I can't believe I'm this far up. Alright, calm down. You got this. Alright, I got that. What is up, everybody? Random Man here, bringing you my review for Free Solo. Now, the premise of this documentary profiles rock climber Alex Honnold on his quest to perform a free solo climb of El Capitan in June 2017. Going into this movie, I was very much looking forward to seeing it. This was one documentary from last year, 2018, that I really wanted to see but didn't get the chance to do so until now, as recently this film was nominated for the Best Documentary Feature Oscar and has received a bunch of critical acclaim prior to that. And for 1 week only, starting on February 1st, which was 2 days ago on Friday, today is February 3rd, it got re-released in IMAX, which was how I saw this film. And for all the talk for how really riveting the cinematography was and just how gripping of a subject matter this film had, I was so pumped to see it. Now, as I've said in the past, whenever I reviewed a documentary, my approach to talking about its pros and cons has always been different, as I more so have to talk about the structure of how the documentary is and the core subject matter it is about. And in this case, with Free Solo, it is about Alex Honnold, who is this free solo climber, and words cannot describe how much of an animal this guy is. He is not a daredevil. He is not an adrenaline junkie. He's just something else in simple terms. Being able to climb these enormous structures without the help of a rope or harness. All he has is this chalk, I believe, he puts on his hands and fingers to give him some tactility, if any. Also, Honnold, in the context of how he's documented, is an interesting person to say the least as well, as he is someone who obviously gets huge gratification from doing all these death-defying stunts, but also he's somebody who has quite a bit of quirks with him to how he acts and really just how he is within his personality. For example, he lived in a van for about a decade, which he said, he's not against van life, but given how he loves being outdoors and climbing all of these impressive structures, that's how he is. And also, he wasn't really necessarily looking for a love life until he met his then and current girlfriend, Sonny McCandless. And she's actually responsible for one of his injuries he did when rock climbing. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't break up after that. And as humorous and messed up as that tidbit is, this also goes into Honnold's own inner psyche and how he is, or how he gets himself to be able to do these kinds of dangerous stunts. As at one point in the documentary, before he embarks on this free solo climb of El Capitan, he has his head checked via MRI, and it shows that he is somebody who really is in the kind of state to where he almost lacks empathy, if you would. I'm not saying he's totally cold or emotionless, but he is somebody who really is dead set and laser focused to do the tasks or hobbies that he wants to do, and this case being free solo climbing. I bring this up for two reasons. As one, this has to do with how Alex was brought up within his youth and how he got a knack for loving to rock climb and free solo climb, and then also just other personality quirks that he has within him, like lacking the use of the L word or love in his life, and then also him not thinking of hugging as something that would stick out to him. It wasn't until he turned 23 that he thought, hugging is something I should get into. Which is both pretty funny that he would say that, but also fascinating to how this guy has this mental state to be able to perform these kinds of stunts. I also think this connects to how his girlfriend Sonny was responsible for one of his rock climbing injuries to his back. Them not breaking up after that accident looks like, in a way, Alex saying, I forgive Sonny, I love Sonny. Really, I just dug them as a couple altogether. They're really cute. And the second reason I brought up Alex's own inner personality and how he's laser focused to do these free solo climbing stunts is that it reminded me of how Ryan Gosling portrayed Neil Armstrong in First Man, one of my favorite movies of 2018. A lot of people criticized the portrayal of Armstrong as very cold, emotionless, and distant, which I totally disagree with, as director Damien Chazelle's approach to this movie was to show a much more personal and psychological take on how Neil Armstrong got to the moon with the rest of the Apollo team and focused a lot on him and what he was going through inside. And the personality that Ryan Gosling infused within Neil Armstrong was as if he was being a good soldier. Like, even though he really didn't show that much emotion in First Man, he is the kind of person that would be up to this really dangerous task to go miles and miles up into space to get to the moon. And that is what stuck out to me in Free Solo, for how Alex Honnold is able to be someone who is able to climb without a rope or harness and really just do all of this, not just for gratification, but to show off an impressive feat that he is able to accomplish. Speaking of the directing, let's get into the overall presentation of this movie visually. And this is just one of the most slickly clean documentaries I've seen in recent memory. Like I've mentioned before, I saw this movie in IMAX, and wow, what a way to immerse oneself into seeing a movie like this on the biggest screen possible. As directors, Elizabeth Chai Vasarhelyi, I believe that's how her name is pronounced, I apologize if I butchered that, and Jeremy Chin really just presented this thing on such an immense scale for the actual climb on El Capitan, and then also just how some of the smaller moments were handled as well, and us seeing Alex in his van, him with his girlfriend Sani, and then him also talking about his youth and just all other details of his personal life, whether it's him as a celebrity or just how he goes on his daily business. When it comes to the actual El Capitan climb, it is built up as this set piece that would really fit in a big action blockbuster narrative film, which that's what it felt like once it got up to that portion of the movie towards the end, as really, my palms were sweating the entire time. I was on the edge of my seat, wanting to look away in some moments because, if you don't know me personally, I have two really big fears. One of them being clowns, and the other being heights. Like, being up at a very high distance is not something that I take too kindly to. In fact, I saw this movie with my dad, and he shares a similar sentiment with height and how being up at that high of a level, it's terrifying. Especially when you look at how El Cap is as a structure, as it's just this giant ass rock really forming out of the ground on Yosemite National Park in California. And it's over half a mile high, and just being able to climb that without any help aside from the shoes you're wearing on your feet and your bare hands. Oh man. Some moments of the film visually really did get to me, but it also has to do with how the movie is shot, and it is a stunning feat to be able to capture this kind of act. One of the directors, Jeremy Chin, is actually seen for a lot of this movie's running time on screen, as he is walking through with Alex, and how they're able to shoot this thing and capture his climb all the way to the top of El Capitan. And it has to do with him wondering how he's not able to get in the way of Alex, and how they're able to capture this thing very vividly and clearly, as one slip up, either on the ends of all the cameramen or Alex himself, could end up in him falling down straight to his death. And just the way they're able to orchestrate part of the actual filmmaking into the documentary, I thought was quite neat, showing off how they're mounting cameras onto the side of El Capitan and having these huge sweeping crane shots around Alex. Like, that both added on to the anxiety I had while watching this movie, but also showing off how breathtaking a lot of these shots really are. Like, I think in terms of cinematography, I wonder why this movie wasn't considered for Academy recognition, as this is one of the best looking movies I've seen from 2018. Another technical merit I have to mention is the original score by Marco Beltrami, as he is a composer that I think is kind of underrated, and even if he has composed scores for movies I haven't been that big on, I think in a lot of cases his music does stand out in the background, and with Free Solo, especially during that final El Capitan free solo climb sequence, it really does amp up the tension and it makes it all the more riveting to watch. And with how the movie ran altogether, with its pacing, I thought it ran super well at about 96 minutes. One thing I would have liked to have seen more of in this documentary is some of the behind-the-scenes techniques that I've mentioned earlier, and how Jeremy Chin was explaining to Alex like what they're able to do and capture his climb up El Cap, and also just really what they had in terms of equipment, like this really big-ass camera being shot from the ground to Alex in capturing all of his moves. I wish more of that was shown, as really we didn't get to see that much of it in hindsight. It's more so shown off towards the end of the movie, right before Alex does make his way to climb up El Cap. But really that's a nitpick, as what this movie's core is really about is balancing capturing all the preparation and actual execution of Alex climbing El Cap with him in showing off how he is personally, and just how his background really contributed to him having this huge passion for free solo climbing. In short, Free Solo is a harrowingly engaging account of athleticism taken to a literal immense scale. I mean, that sequence of Alex climbing El Cap alone is a stunning achievement and makes it a must watch. This is now my choice to win the Best Documentary Feature Oscar. I mean, I've only seen one other nominee from that category this year, and I will get more into my thoughts on all of that and the rest of the Oscar nominations with my predictions and preferences video later on in the month. Stay tuned for that. But as it stands, Free Solo would have definitely been on my favorite movies of 2018 list had I seen it earlier. If you're watching this video as soon as or around the time I have uploaded it, and you have the means to go out and see this movie in IMAX, this movie is playing in that format through February 7th. By all means, get up off your ass and go see this movie that way, as I highly recommend it. My final verdict for Free Solo is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Free Solo, social media links in the description, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.